I feel like telling God, time out muna. Pwede ba? Time out lang muna.
Hello, supers! Welcome back to Paano ba to? I know we are not really all feeling super right now. It's a year into this global pandemic here in Manila, in the Philippines, a year into our quarantine, and I've been getting your letters, your messages, your DMs about how you feel anxious and frustrated and sometimes lost and down. And believe me, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And so I felt it was really important that for this month, I would like to devote it to helping us all cope with this pandemic anxiety. And so I invited different experts, different personalities to sort of help us to cope with all our feelings. And I start things off with spiritual and emotional guidance. Syempre, dahil kakatapos lang ng Holy Week. And I have this conversation with Father Tito Caluag. And I hope this helps sort of lighten the load, and I hope you gain something from our conversation. Welcome back to Paano ba to? One of my absolute favorite people in the world, Father Tito Caluag.
Hi, Bianx. It's a year. It's been a year. It's been a year. Okay. So we're back.
We are back. I wanted to get your thoughts about 1 year in this situation. A lot of people are feeling this pandemic anxiety. Let me read about a few comments, Fads. This is from
Okay.
Beverly. Sabi niya, earlier I felt heavy and gloomy. The energy around was very heavy with news and little accountability. Midweek, I tried to consciously shift to things I can control and surrender things I cannot. Sabi naman ni Kate, I've been feeling off and quite helpless lately too. We might have hoped and even expected that 2021 would be a better year for all of us. But with this surge of COVID cases in our country, once again, we find ourselves in an eternity of uncertainty. And from Angelica, 2 weeks ago, I felt drained. I can't understand myself why I am feeling that way. Halo-halong emosyon, anxieties dahil may COVID pa rin, and so on and so forth.
I think, Bianx, yung mga comments ay yung bullseye. That is the general sentiments of people. I think ako, just the other day, I was talking to people, I was in a meeting. With the surge of the COVID cases, parang lumakas na naman yung anxiety and fear. No? Parang we're back to where we were a year ago. Pero I think yung sinasabi ng mga taong pagod na sila, etc., may added factor na wala last year. And guess what? Frustration. Last year was the fear and anxiety of the unknown. Ngayon, yun pa rin. Kasi may bagong surge. Ito talagang coming back with a vengeance. Worse than what it was last year, di ba? Dagdag takot na yun eh. Pag hinalo mo na yan sa talagang real facts na dami nagkakasakit, mas dumadami na naman ulit yung namamatay, and then yung fact na yung ating vaccination program is ang bagal, no? How do you cope with this, no? In this kind of situation? Remember, it's a pandemic, it's 1 year, but it's very different from 1 year ago. One of the things that is important, no, to cope spiritually and psychologically, emotionally, is acknowledge our feelings. I think it's important na we're able to articulate kung anong nararamdaman natin, takot, anxiety, frustration, anger, pain. Mahalaga yon in terms of mental health. I think this is a time wherein we need support groups. Support groups in the sense na makapagkwentuhan. And remember, yung importante sa support group, it's to know we are not alone. Iba yung mag-ventilate ng nararamdaman sa nega, di ba? Iba yun eh. People should appreciate that, no? It's different when you just simply let things out compared yung nega session, di ba? Iba yun. Venting things out, nilalabas mo lang yung mga nararamdaman mo for the sake of bringing it out, ano? Parang pressure cooker. Kaya unti-unti napapalabas yung nagbi-build up na tension, ano? Because I think that's important before we go to prayer, di ba? Kasi baka in the process of bringing out our feeling, nagiging malinaw talaga kung anong nasa loob natin, ano? I'll give you my own example, Bianca.
Go ahead, Fads.
The first time I said, yung dagdag na pabigat ngayon is the frustration. Actually, for mga 2 or 3 days, yung pakiramdam ko iba internally, no? Until nga, on the 3rd day, when I was feeling that, may kausap ako, doon ko nasabi, may dagdag na frustration this time around. Kung hindi ako nakapagkwentuhan with someone about it, hindi ko ma-articulate na frustration pala yung dinadaanan kong feeling. Ano? And then all of a sudden, people were saying, nga yun din ang pakiramdam ko. So, yun na, the last few days, ang dami kong nakakausap, yun din yung kanilang similar. We must have a way to carry conversation na, as I said, hindi para manira, hindi maging nega, but to be able to help one another cope with the situation. Ano? Kasi nga, di ba, in spiritual life, I think it was Ignatius who said it, one of the ways to bukuhin ang evil spirit is pag ma-identify mo na siya. The moment you identify an evil movement, it loses half its power. Kasi remember, part of the strength of the evil spirit is secrecy. So pag hindi articulated yung what's going on, potentially pwede siyang gamitin ng evil spirit. Keep us frustrated without us putting a finger on it, di ba? Kasi ikaw, Bianx, di ba? Kung hindi mo alam na, halimbawa, galit ka. Sige, kunyari lang to, kung hindi mo alam na galit ka kay JC, di ba?
Okay,
Di
copy.
ba?
Yes.
Galit ka kasi may nangyari gano'n, dinedma niya kaya ka galit. Kung hindi mo ma-articulate sa sarili mo na yung galit mo yon, di ba kung anong papasok sa isip mo and you become unreasonable, you become unwieldy, maybe that's the word, ano? But if you know it and you acknowledge it, you put a handle to it, di ba? And that's very important, psychologically and spiritually, that you are able to identify, no? So that's one, I think, important thing to do during this time of the pandemic.
Yeah.
For us to become more aware of what's going on, both psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Right. Main thing that you said, that for me, itong pandemic ko lang din na-realize yung importance is to name the feeling, to
Correct.
name the emotion. And I just want to share something I learned from Dr. Susan David. She is the author of a book titled Emotional Agility. One of the things she said is that you should be as specific as you can be with naming your feelings. For example, I'm angry. Why are you angry? Or maybe because I'm frustrated. Why are you frustrated? Or maybe because I'm feeling helpless. Yung parang you try to make the emotion as specific as possible. Hindi lang siya sad or happy. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you are feeling uncertain. Maybe you're feeling rage, di ba? Different things. And then sabi niya, it's important to distance yourself from the emotion. For example, I'm feeling frustrated instead of I'm frustrated. You are not your emotion and you should not be fully consumed by your emotion. I'm anxious. Hindi daw dapat ganon. You should think of it in a way na I'm feeling anxious so that you know, this is me and I'm feeling anxious. Okay, nandyan si anxiety. Sige, dyan ka lang. What can I do to sort of like make you calm down? Yun ang kanyang mga sinabi. And the third thing that I want to share that I learned from her, and this is medyo new, like I'm still coming to terms with understanding what she means by this. Sabi niya, we tend to label emotions as good and bad, when in fact, they're just emotions. Emotions daw are signs.
They're neutral.
They're neutral, yes.
I also feel na there are emotions that are natural reactions. It's almost organic, di ba? I think what really happens in terms of good and bad is what do you do with that emotion, di ba? I think malaking bagay yan, especially Bianx, sorry to say, mukhang mahaba pa to eh. Mukhang mahaba pa to, di ba? I think it's something that we need to prepare ourselves for, di ba?
To that point, I wanted to ask you on a personal note, because you are a priest. In your work and even personal life, a lot of people come to you with their problems. I'm curious because you have your own personal burdens to carry, right? How do you handle it that there is added load from people who you serve?
It's something I try to articulate to myself every day actually. Kasi a lot of people ask for prayers. No? Kasi my reaction to that, Bianca, when people come and ask for prayers, diba, may problema, may sakit, etc. It's always a humbling experience for me. Humbling in the sense na, wow, me pray for you. Parang gano'n yung parang, who am I, di ba? But humbling also because, as I say, you're being used as an instrument, no? I really feel very humble. Parang kung alam nyo lang, pareho lang tayo makasalanan, di ba? Pareho lang tayo kailangan humingi ng grasya sa Diyos, di ba? But now, mas na-pronounce pa yung you realize God is using you as an instrument. Because this prayer that people are asking for is very important for them. Alam mo, mabigat, Biang, especially na ang dami mong pinagdadasal na may sakit. Ang haba nung listahan ng healing. And yung listahan din ng namamatay, ang haba. And for me, I think being humbled helps me cope. Because part of being humbled, Banks, is knowing na it's God who's doing it, not you. But, I'll be very honest. There are days I feel like telling God, time out muna. Pwede ba? Time out lang muna. Kasi nakakapagod din eh. And then again, I go back to what I said at the start. Kailangan i-acknowledge ko na humingi ako ng time out sa Diyos. And I think those moments when I ask Lord, time out muna, pwede ba? I think yun yung paglabas ko ng di ba? The pressure that's building up.
And I guess I asked that because tayong mga mamamayan ng Pilipinas, actually not just the Philippines, the whole world, right? You hear of bad news or people in power doing things and they get away with it versus a poorer person who does the same thing and goes to jail for it, and so on and so forth. When there is evil around or stories that we read that are just not right. Like, I don't know if you saw the story the other day of the lolo who had to be refused because hospitals were full and he ended up passing outside the hospital, and the Apo posted it. It went viral. Talagang, these are stories actually that happen every day. It's just that not all become viral, right? I guess I ask this because this is also what adds to that anxiety, to that feeling of helplessness. And like you said, and I believe that also, that this isn't ending soon.
Not anytime soon,
Paano, Fads?
Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na lang na parang walang nangyari, di ba? Otherwise, we cannot discern. That's why I feel frustrated and sometimes angry, no? When you hear officials trying to gloss over mga mali, no? Or mga mishandling. Hindi naman natin sinasabi na pag may mali o mishandling, ipako sa krus. Hindi natin sinasabi yun eh. Kasi you cannot correct something unless ma-acknowledge di ba?
Right.
And if you keep putting band-aid on a hole, abay lalaki si butas. Kasi hindi band-aid ang solusyon di ba? Pagka let's see, let's do better. Kasi ngayon, ang daming situations na hindi ganon, no? I guess this is a call then, Biancs, for a greater collective awareness. We need to acknowledge what is it that we're facing. Regardless of political color, regardless of ideological, sana man lang sa pandemic, magkasundo-sundo tayo how to look at it and how to address it. Kaya pro ganito ka, pro ganun ka, matatamaan ka ng virus. Plus, Biancs, maraming magugutom eh. It's important na we acknowledge reality together. Ikaw, Biancs, anong iyong...
Grabe, handful, mouthful, headful, talagang it's difficult. And I think that we are in it for the long haul, I guess. And aside from that, let's try, I don't know how, honestly, but let's try to hold those in power to account, which is difficult, but also, I guess, to encourage, first of all, to register to vote.
Yes, importante yan.
And to vote in 2022 for more leaders that we've seen do the work and have the real interest of the common good at heart.
Okay, let me end siguro with what the Pope said. To see clearly, to choose well, and to act right. I think that's one way to move forward in this pandemic. So for me, mahalaga yon, di ba? See clearly, choose well, act right.
Act right.
Choose well,
Oh. Thank you so much, Fads. As always, I super learn so much from you. To everyone listening, I hope that helped sort out whatever you might be feeling right now. And like Father said earlier, all this feeling of being drained, feeling frustrated, feeling sometimes angry. You are not alone. We feel it too.
Yes.
And based on our feelings, the choice is ours on what to do.
Correct.
Thank you so much, Fads.
Thank you, Biancs. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. And you always have interesting topics in your program.
Thanks, Fads. Salamat. Thank you, as always, to Father Tito Caluag. And if you want even more spiritual guidance, last year, we did a video as well on spiritual guidance just a few months into the quarantine. And that is such a powerful episode where Father Tito answers your questions. And if you want to listen to the full conversation, because Fads and I talk about a lot more things, that will be up on the podcast, as usual, Monday night at 11 p.m. So again, I hope everyone Please take care, please stay safe, and if you want to message me, the comment section is open. You can DM me anytime at I am Super Bianca, and let's talk. Let's talk. Mahirap to. And so I want to keep this conversation going so that we all know na hindi tayo nag-iisa, and we will get through this. Take care, supers!